Good to see everybody here this morning. As we get started with our time in Bible class this morning, we are fortunate to have with us a very special guest with us, Ricky Burse from the New Pathways for Children Children's Home. I wanted to just let you know a little bit about him. I'm sure he's going to share us a lot of information about everything that's going on there, and we're excited to learn more about the good work going on there. Ricky has been the executive director there for about 8 years, and he told me this morning that they have 23 children that they are currently taking care of, which is, he said, just about their capacity. So they're starting to look at ideas for what to do next, how to move forward, and I'm excited about the opportunities there and the great things that they're doing there. I'll turn it over to Ricky at this time.
Brian, get turned on here. Hopefully all the technology's going to work, right? You know, I've preached for many years and it seemed like something constantly was going on, either with microphones or video or the projectors or something. And I always said, you know, the devil's in the details, right? So anything he could do to disrupt us. So thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. Brian and I were visiting just a little bit earlier, and I mentioned that I was here visiting while Scott Wilson was here just before Brian came. He had been hired. I heard his name mentioned, but he hadn't moved. He hadn't actually started, and he said that was back in 2016. So it's been a few years. I know I probably met a few of you. I recognize some faces. If I don't remember your name, don't be too tough on me because I've aged a little bit in those few years as well. But it's a blessing to be here. Thankful that Kara and her kids have come over. Kara's on our board of directors, has been now for 3 years. Yeah. She's actually a part of the executive committee now, the secretary, treasurer of the board. We're thankful for her, and I appreciate her work and connecting me with you to talk about our ministry at New Pathways for Children. We believe there's something special going on at New Pathways, and it's because of what God is doing. And in a lot of ways, we feel like we're a hidden treasure. You know, we're in northern Graves County. Our address is actually Melbourne. We're about 15 miles south of Paducah. We have a campus that has been there since 1992 when the first house was built. There have been additional houses that have been operated over the years, and I'll tell you a little bit more about where we are and what we're doing right now, and the houses and the children that we serve. As Brian mentioned, currently we have 23. I'll show you a few pictures of some of the kids because they're really what our ministry is about. The reason we do what we do is because of the needs that they have and our desire to do what God wants us to do in serving, loving, and helping them. And it's a very special ministry. I've been in ministry most of my adult life. My dad was a minister. I grew up in that home. I had the opportunity to spend a number of years preaching full-time in 3 different congregations. And then had the opportunity to come to New Pathways in 2013. And I believe that it's maybe the most significant opportunity to serve in the kingdom that God's given me, and I'm thankful for that. New Pathways is a private referral Christian ministry. Our goal is to care for children who are in crisis. And unfortunately, there are a lot of children who are in crisis from a lot of different things that are going on. And I won't read all of these slides. They'll be up there. You can read them. I'll be talking about a number of the things. But every day you see in the newspaper, you're seeing it on the nightly news. If you're watching local news, do you get Channel 6 out of Paducah or you get something out of Nashville here? Nashville, okay, Channel 5 or whatever there, NBC. Purdue, we get WPSD down our way. But wherever you're getting news, you're hearing stories. You know, this week in the paper, even though I've been a little bit out of pocket, I still try keep up a little bit with things. A couple of days ago, 34-year-old mom arrested because of neglect related to her 4 children. Yesterday, a story about mom's boyfriend who actually sprayed down the children with lighter fluid and threatened to set them on fire. About a week ago, headline was, couple were arrested, passed out in their car with a 2-month-old baby strapped in the back seat. Happens every day. Kids right here in your neighborhood, I'd say we probably wouldn't have to walk much more than 10 minutes in any direction to find children who are suffering from some of these factors that cause them to experience trauma and to be in crisis in their life. So a lot of the kids that we see suffer from 1 or 2 or sometimes most of these things. And I think the saddest one probably is just the indifference that there is on the part of so many parents toward their children. They're inconvenient, they're in the way, they're a bother, they interfere with what they want to do and where they want to go, and so they just don't care. They're just not interested in doing the hard work that's parenting, right? How many of you have raised children? Let's see. Most of you, right? And I see some folks who have children. It's hard work, isn't it? Next to a marriage, it may be the second hardest work. You know, you can go out and it can be 105 heat index and you can dig a ditch and get hot and sweaty and be worn out. But at the end of the day, you can go in, take a shower, eat a good meal, sit down in your recliner, rest, get a good night's sleep, and you can go back out there the next day and work. And you can do that, and our bodies handle that physically. But being a parent, you don't really get to take a vacation, do you? And you know what else I learned? Even when your kids get grown, you don't quit parenting. The relationships change, things are different. But my kids are 34 and 30, I still want to know every day that everything's okay. Where are you? What's going on? How are things? Every day. Talk to them almost every day. Don't get to see my daughter as often as I'd like. They live down in Memphis, have our 2 grandsons. My son lives over in Murray, so I see him a little more often. But it never changes. So I don't understand the indifference, but it's real and it's there. And a lot of the children that we serve at New Pathways come out of those situations. What you're looking at here is our mission statement. It's the reason that we exist. We are a ministry, and we exist to minister, take care of the physical, social, emotional, and spiritual needs of at-risk children, children who are suffering from all those different kinds of crisis, in an atmosphere where they can be loved and cared for by people who love God and want them to experience life the way that Christ intended. So, we currently operate 2 group homes. We have a boys' home and a girls' home. And a year ago, actually it's been a little over a year ago now, it was in July, we opened a 3rd home that we operate as our own foster home. We had an opportunity, and you know, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in God incidences. So we have our main campus that was there on Shaw Road since 1992. You go just a little bit to the east and you turn right and go south about 3 miles is where our second home is. And this house is not hardly halfway in between those two. It's a little bit closer to the main campus. Right there on the same highway as where the boys' home is. We had an opportunity. The price was right. People worked with us. We bought that house, had to do a little renovation, got it operational last July. I don't think it was any accident that that house that worked for us was right there in the middle of where both of our other houses are. And we've been blessed by having that. I love this picture because I think it just gives an image of the kind of atmosphere we have. A lot of people, when they drive up on our campus for the first time, they say, wow, this looks like camp. We've got the lake there in the center of the main campus. It separates our office building from where the girls' home is and where our multi-purpose building is. It's stocked with fish. Most of the time, the kids, first fish they ever catch right here out of this little lake. And of course, you can see the fountain, the hillside there. This is our girls' home. It's on the other side of the lake. The Gardner house. Currently, it's home for 10 girls. Those girls are ages 5 to 14, from kindergarten through 9th grade. There's a pretty heavy concentration of them, about 7, 8, and 9. Probably half of them are right there in that middle age group. So you can imagine how lively it is around there with that many girls, but they are sweethearts. And Kara hadn't had a chance to update the board, but Jan just sent me a picture. She's been contacted about a 6-year-old little girl and starting to work on that. So we may soon have an 11th little girl who'll be over here in this house. And that's going to stretch us pretty much to our limit in that house. Just because of things like transportation. We have a 15-passenger bus with 11 girls. In order to take them to church on Sunday morning, we'll have to have 3 staff. So that pretty well fills up a 15-passenger bus. But this house was built in 1992. It's been used for a variety of things over the years, but now housing girls. This house was built in late 2013, early 14. Intended originally, the house I just showed you had boys for many, many years. This house was built intending to put girls in, but because of what happened with the state of Kentucky and DCBS in 2014 and our move away from any contractual involvement with the state, we wound up with girls at the Gardner home and the boys here at the Haven house. 10 is the absolute capacity there. We have 10 bedrooms. We don't have a place to make an additional bedroom or stick another boy. A few of the bedrooms, 2 or 3 of them, are small as it is. Bathroom space, becomes an issue when you get more and more kids in there. But boys there, the youngest is 7, the oldest is 14. The two oldest are 9th graders. This year, the youngest is in 2nd grade, and it's a nice house. It's newer, but in a lot of ways, the other house was built. It has 12 bedrooms, but it has 7 full baths and a half bath. So that's one of the reasons we have girls down there, because of the extra bathrooms. And especially as they begin to get a little older and some of the things, right now, 5-year-old little girls, they talk about makeup, but they don't wear makeup with us. But, as they get older, a lot of those things begin to change. And so those extra bathrooms will be nice. Here's our foster home, the house we were able to buy. As you can see, it's really a nice house. The couple who had lived there had bought it 28 or so years ago, raised their children. It's 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. Has a big kitchen, dining area. Nice yard. It sits on close to 3 acres. So it was just kind of like, okay, God said, hey, you need some space? Here you go. And it's worked really well. We have younger children. The children are there now are 4, 5, and 6. When they came, they were 3, 4, and 5. So they've all had a birthday since they've been there. And it works out real well for us. We got a call a couple of weeks ago, and nothing's happened, about an 8-month-old baby. Before this house, we couldn't have done anything. We do have the option now, if that comes through, to be able to take that 8-month-old and put that baby in this house. And as you can see, the children, of course, are in younger grades there. One of the things that the board and I are really proud of is that over the last 3 years, we've been able to move to get all of our children into private Christian school. It's only about 15 minutes from our houses, Community Christian Academy. Some of you may have seen the name. I know there's a Christian school over here, and they may play sports against each other. I'm not sure. We're still learning a lot of the territory around some of those things. They only have about 350 students. 22 of our 23 children are in school there. The 23rd, the youngest boy who's 4, they don't have a preschool program at CCA yet. We're encouraging that because we often get children who are in that age group. But he attends one of the county schools that has preschool, and all the other 22 children attend CCA. Each of the children has a sponsor. So there is a family or an individual who pays or makes a donation to us so that we can pay their tuition, cover the cost of their school lunches, and also buy their uniforms because they wear uniforms each day to school. And, you know, just another way that God has blessed us. September 2014, we got 3 children. 2 sisters and a brother. The brother went through one of the local elementary schools. It finished at 6th grade. And through that whole year, we were just talking about and discussing, you know, he's going to leave this small community elementary school, and the middle school at Graves County has something like 800 kids. And we were concerned that, you know, he's going to get lost in that system with so many kids and so much going on. And we knew about CCA, and we said, you know, it would be great we could send him over there. So as that year progressed and he finished 6th grade, one of our board members came to me one night after a board meeting and said, hey, let's send him over there. My wife and I will pay the tuition. Find out how much it is. So I contacted him, found out we got him enrolled. Well, the next year we had 3 other 6th graders finishing. And somebody else came to me and said, hey, I know he's over there. It went great. Best thing, you know, I'd like to take credit for it, but I can't. I thought it was a good idea, but God absolutely knew it was and confirmed it. And so we had these other 3 kids. We got sponsors who stepped up and said, yeah, we'll pay. And that sponsorship is $4,500 a child. So now we had 4. And those 3 kids were doing great. Grades were improving, behaviors improving, just all kinds of positive things around. And they love it. So in January of 2020, right before everything just went totally haywire, right? You ever had something that had a spring in it and you opened it up and it popped out and it just went everywhere? That's kind of the way, you know, things happened in 2020, wasn't it? The spring just exploded and everything went haywire. We decided we were going to send all of our kids over there. The board said to me, hey, go get sponsors. Well, at the time, we had 4. We had 19 kids. We had 4 already. That was 15. Okay. So I started calling a few people. And people started calling me. Hey, I hear you need sponsors. We want to do one. Hey, I hear you need sponsors. I'll do 2. Go out and visit a guy who's been a supporter and talking about what we want to do. And he said, yeah, we'll do 2. We've got people now who are on a waiting list for the next kids to sponsor. Now, sometimes I think, this is just amazing and unbelievable. But then I remember God said, I want to do immeasurably more than you can ask or imagine. And so it's just, my human weakness that I'm amazed because God's doing what God does, right? And we keep seeing that, and it's remarkable. So I love this picture. It's first day of school this year, and the girls in their uniforms. They wear red, purple, and black shirts, khaki shorts, I think navy or blue. Same thing with pants. That's just preciousness coming out of the picture, isn't it? And they love school, and they do extremely well. Here's just a variety of shots of some of our kids. What we're doing in each of our homes, we're taking care of all their physical needs. So we're feeding them, we're clothing them. When they need new shoes, we're getting new shoes for them. Whatever those needs may be, we're taking care of all of those things. We're taking care of their social needs. So, as you see here, the Adidas branding, if you go to school, you're going to see kids wearing all kinds of branding kind of names, right? We don't want our kids to stand out. We don't want them to look different. We don't want people talking about, boy, that's sad, those poor little kids over there at the children's home. At the same time, we do have to be good stewards of limited amounts of resources, but we want them to fit in to their community so they're a part of and learning how to get along and participate and function well in school and in the community, in the neighborhoods that they're going to grow up and be a part of. I'm particularly proud of this picture and what it represents. These 4 girls, you may not be able to tell for sure because it's a little bit blurry, but those certificates say Student of the Month. Over the last 3 to 4 years, we've had about 15 or 16 of our children who've been Student of the Month at either the public school where they were before or at the Christian school. And so their educational needs and focus are really important to us. We want them to do well. And their grades, they're held accountable because they want to participate in activities, and we want them to, but we want them to understand you have to keep your grades up. You can't play ball if your grades aren't up. If you're not doing your homework, if you're not studying, if you're not taking care of those things, then those extracurriculars and those privileges aren't available. But as long as you keep your grades up, you can play ball. You can do these other activities. And they work hard. We have kids just like you would have here in the church if you looked at your kids across the range who are extremely good students, some who are average students, and then some who struggle. For those who struggle, we have tutors. We have a lady who spent her entire career as a reading specialist who assesses each of our children to help them understand how they best read and learn and help us learn that so we can provide them the best help. This is one of the most valuable things we're able to do because this is 2 brothers and a sister who are all in our program. They don't live in the same house, but they have the opportunity to live together because they go to school together, they go to church together. They do other activities. This was, I think, the oldest brother's birthday, and she came over for the birthday party. We provide counseling for each of the children because all of them have experienced trauma, and they need some help navigating some of those things because they're hurt. Their little hearts are broken a lot of times. Sometimes they're angry. I can't imagine some of the things that our kids have been through, left at home for days at a time with no food and starving. I'd be pretty upset too. I don't like to get too hungry, and most of us don't, right? We have a pretty regular schedule we eat. We've had kids that have gone sometimes 3, 4, 5 days in a row with nothing to eat because nobody was there to take care of them, and they're little guys. Well, this is just a sketch of kind of the operation. We're a pretty good-sized small business as a ministry. You can see we've got a fair number of employees, and that fluctuates usually by, from 24 up to 28 or 29, depending on how many children we have, how many part-time people we need to bring in. Our board of directors, I mentioned Kara, they all volunteer their time and energy to help us. This year, our budget is $1.5 million. And every bit of that's raised. It's not a single penny from any government source. Not local, not state, not federal, not if there's anything else. Not a penny of it. Every bit of it comes from churches and individuals and families. There are a couple of private foundations that have looked at our ministry and said, you know what? We want to be a part of that. We want to invest in that. But the majority of it comes from people who give. We've got donors who give $5, $10, $20. We've got a lady who gives $19 a month. I haven't had a chance to ask her, why did you land on 19? I'm guessing that's what she feels like she can do. And that's okay. Because everybody pulling together makes this possible. When we moved away from the state, we forfeited about $2 million in state revenue for the kids we were taking care of that were in state custody. But no amount of money is worth sacrificing your soul, right? Now, our soul was sold out to God. And I told the board at the time when that decision was made, I believe God's done too much at New Pathways to say, push it aside, throw it away, it's over. He may have been. Sometimes He adjusts and moves. But we didn't feel that. And God has shown every year. I was working at the time all that happened on about a $3 million budget. In the space of about 2 weeks, I threw all of that in the trash or the shredder and started over, and our budget beginning in July of 2014 for that fiscal year was about $350,000. People gave that and just a little bit extra. We had just a little bit of surplus after the first year. More kids. Second year it was about $480,000. We raised all of that and just a little bit extra. The next year it went up to about $650,000. We raised all of that, and each year it went up. We had more kids, more cost, and God provided everything we need, and every single year just a little bit extra. Not a whole lot. We don't have enough to go do anything crazy. That's why we got good board members like Kara, keep an eye on people like me. Say, Ricky, be careful. And I'm pretty conservative with all those things anyway. But at the same time, I'm learning more and more to trust God. 2014, I had people everywhere telling me what you're talking about won't work. State has all the kids and they have all the money. I listened to all that. And so I was I was only a year in at that time, Brian. So, sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? What you don't know, either make you stronger or kill you. One. Not sure yet where this one's going to wind up. I didn't know any better, because I kept thinking all the time about Psalm 24, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. You're telling me it can't be done. I'm looking at a God who says, trust me, it can be done. And He's proving over and over and over again that it can be. And it's remarkable. About 10 days ago, I was sitting at my desk, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Is I need to write this story down. You know, when I finished my dissertation back in 2010, I said, I'm never writing anything again. You know, it just kind of like it wore me out. But God, I think, has been placing on my heart now for a couple of years, you know, this story needs to be told because it's my story. It's not about New Pathways so much as it is about God's path that's new for New Pathways. And it's a remarkable story. So I was sitting there, I've been thinking about it a few days, and I just kind of sketched out, you know, what chapter 1 would look like, and chapter 2, chapter 3, down, I think, about 8 or 9 different chapters I just sketched out. And so I did that, and then I just set it aside and thought, you know, I'll come back to that and make some other notes and just kind of begin to work that process. Well, then on Monday, last Monday, we had a pretty tragic accident in our family. We were all gathered on Labor Day at my sister's to celebrate my dad's birthday. My nephew and his wife have a new baby that's about 2 months old. So we all gathered, and you know, COVID's messed all those things up. Just about the time several of our family members got their plate, one end of the deck collapsed and dropped about 15 feet. Now on that deck were my mother and father-in-law, who were 80 and 81, my wife, my son-in-law, my daughter, my 2 grandsons, who are 7 months and 3 months, and my daughter's 2 other grandchildren, my nephew's 2 older ones, one who's 2 and one who's 8. And when it dropped, I mean, it went to the ground. My wife said all she remembered was stumbling 2 or 3 feet back, and the next thing she knew, she was in a helicopter flying to Memphis. She and my mother-in-law are both banged up pretty seriously. My mother-in-law has 18 broken ribs. My wife has 15. She's got a fracture in her sacrum in her back, broke her right hand. So they've been in the med since Monday afternoon. But we've talked all week. The 7-month-old was sitting in a chair with his dad. He's got a bruise on his cheek and a little scrape on his arm. The 3-year-old's got a bruise on one cheek, and he doesn't have any scratches. My daughter and son-in-law, they're bruised up. They look like they've been beat up by somebody. I mean, they're bruised all over, but nothing broken. My father-in-law had a knot on the back of his head, no breaks, nothing there. My nephew's 2 kids hardly got a scratch. About 10 feet from where that deck broke and they all fell, my 82-year-old dad, who's been through radiation recently, was holding the 2-month-old baby, and that part never moved. As we've talked about, well, you talk about how, I mean, just like that, things changed. I'd been sitting on the deck in the chair feeding my 3-year-old grandson, and when the 3 of them, my wife and her parents, walked out with their plates, I got up, set him down in the chair, and walked in to fix my plate. So I hadn't been gone probably 30 seconds. Well, I tell you that to tell you that I started thinking in the last couple of days, you know, for the next 3 months, my wife's going to be a lot more immobile than she's been. The doctors told us they're not going to do surgery on the back. They want it to heal on its own, but she can't put any weight on her right leg for 3 months. So she's, be in the hospital a few more days, probably going to rehab somewhere in Paducah. And I'm beginning to think, okay, God, are you telling me, hey, you got 3 months to write this story? Because you're not going to be doing all the things you typically do. I don't know. He and I are kind of fussing about that a little bit back and forth. But it's a remarkable story. And I believe this is why, because the spiritual foundation is really what we're about. Teaching children about God, teaching them His truth, having them in church, letting them hear the story of Jesus, letting them be in Bible class, having folks like you partner with us and take them to camp. Because you know why camp and all of those experiences like Uplift and so many things are important? It's because these children are moldable. And their hearts are tender, and they're interested, and they want to know, and they want to learn. So things like this happen in the summer at Uplift. And these two 14-year-old boys said, hey, I want to be a follower of Jesus, and I want to give my life to Him. Has some effects a few days after Uplift too, doesn't it, Kara? Because of the seeds that are planted there. These are videos. I don't know that I can make them play with this, but you can see the pictures. One of these is at West Kentucky, just 2 or 3 weeks after Uplift. The other one was at Lone Oak one Sunday morning. So this summer we've had 4 of our boys who've confessed their faith in Jesus and been baptized. 2 of these boys are from Louisville. One of them, actually 3 of them are from the Louisville area. 2 of them are brothers. 3 of them from Louisville. The other one is from North Dakota. I don't know how long they're going to be with us. We'll keep them as long as they need to be there. But when they leave, they're going somewhere with the opportunity to impact and influence other people. And that's the most important thing we're doing. And that's why we need folks like you to join us to pray. I need you to pray for me. Because I'm at the head of this organization. And until I came in 13, the only thing I knew really about the ministry of New Pathways or child care was because of my dad. My dad actually was the president of Tennessee Children's Home in 1990 when New Pathways was started. So he's had a long history. I've known about it. I've been around it, but not on the inside. It's a whole different world. And you're sitting there at the desk and the buck really does stop with you and you take responsibility for that. I don't turn and say, hey, that's your fault. And it does stop here. I'm at the head of the table. And I have to answer to the board and supporters and, more importantly, to the Lord. I need your prayers. Our staff, they're great people. They work hard. They love kids. They sacrifice. They give a lot. Some of them could make twice as much working somewhere else, but they're invested. They care. Pray for them. Pray for the kids. They've been through a lot. Some of you probably experienced trauma. You understand what they're going through. You can pray in a different way than somebody who hasn't had those experiences. Pray for our board. I know Kara and the others would appreciate that. Pray for God to open more opportunities, to provide more support, to help us get done what we need to do. And then we need you to partner with us. We need people who'll come on board to donate. If it's $5 a month, you'll get a letter from me every month thanking you, just like the folks who give us $2,000 a month. Because every gift is important. And we need monthly supporters. We need people who look and say, okay, I can do something every month. $5, $10. The Lord's blessed you to do 50 or 100 or whatever it is. I'm here to encourage you as a church to get more involved. I hope some of you are sitting there thinking, we need to do this. And I'm going to talk to the elders. I'm going to talk to Brian. I'm going to give them a little push and a little shove. I'm going to try to light a fire under us. Because we need the Southside Church to be a partner with us more and more. Monthly donations, a special offering, food or supply drives quarterly. Think about how much toilet paper we use in each house every month. I mean, it's like that stuff vanishes. And a year ago or so when you couldn't hardly find it, it was even more valuable, right? Talk about us when you have an opportunity. If you know someplace I can go and speak and talk about our ministry, make those opportunities happen and participate. Maybe you could think about hosting an event. We'd love to expand our presence and our support over in this area and grow that. Hosting an event here at the church. You got a great facility here. Do something like a trivia night or something else. Listen, Kara can give you all kind of great ideas. She's a great planner. She's been involved in these activities. We've got staff people who can help you. We have a golf scramble in Paducah. I know some of you guys probably play golf, as crazy a game as it is. Come over. It's not so much about playing really that day as it is supporting us. And then this fall, we'll have a benefit dinner. I know Kara would love to see you because she's coordinating and working this at Lone Oak. Here's the details about that. We'll be sending some other things along as more plans are made and as things get closer to the time. This is just emphasis. I said it, talked about it a little bit ago. We don't get any government funding. So our ability to take care of children is related directly to how much revenue and support we get from churches. The reason we're able to take care of 23 children right now is because churches and individuals have stepped up to provide the support we need. If we're going to be able to buy another house or build another house and take care of 6 or 8 or 10 more children, it's going to depend on the resources because we don't have it ourselves. So we are having to ask the people of God. But you know what? God's people care. We've seen it over and over again. They care about children. And they care about children who are hurting. And I think people believe that we're doing a good job with the opportunities that we have. Now, over in Psalm 68, the Bible says God's a father to the fatherless. And then the beginning at verse 5 says He sets the lonely in families. And we literally become family to the children who come to us because their family has fallen apart, left them behind, hasn't cared. Whatever the circumstances are, sometimes choices, sometimes they've been put in a tough place and just don't know how to dig out of those situations. But they become family. A little over a year ago, I took 3 children over to Nashville for a visit for a few days. Dropped them off. They visited. I went back to get them. We're driving home. It's getting to be about probably 8:30 in the evening. And as we get closer, it's 2 girls, 2 sisters and their brother. The older of the girls starts telling her little sister, "Hey, we're almost home." She'd recognize a landmark and she'd say, we're getting close to home. And when we turned in the drive, she said, "Hey, we're home." And that's what God's doing for those children. And we're thankful and grateful for that opportunity to be able to provide that. I think folks are coming in, so I'm assuming that means I'm probably about out of time. I don't know, is there a minute or two if anybody has a question real quick? I'll be around Kara's here. You can catch either one of us. But is there anything that I said, mentioned, talked about that I need to clarify or you have a question about? I'd be glad to answer that. Put you all to sleep? That we do have a website. It's NPFC, first letters of New Pathways for Children. In fact, Landon, if you want to help me a minute, just got some of these. Kara, you just give him one side and you just hand folks one of those. Has just a little bit of information. Has that website, has the phone number. You can find information there. We also have a presence on Facebook where we update about events and needs and different kinds of things like that. Should be one easily for each family. Not sure. I just grabbed a handful of those. I came back in from Memphis and got in about 10 o'clock last night and had a few things I could catch up on, slept a little bit and got back up to get over here, and then I'm headed back there. So hopefully I got enough that at least everybody can get one. But there's several ways. And, you know, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't say on that website there's a donate button. So you can find that if you want to donate on that website. You can. Hadn't checked my email much all week because, you know, it's been a little crazy. I got in last night. I checked it. We have online portal donation. I looked on there just to see what had happened the last few days. Somebody made a $3,000 donation online this week. I'm going to try to call them this coming week and say, hey, thank you. How'd you hear about us? What motivated you? Because I want to know what God's doing in people and how they're hearing and finding out. Right next to that was a donation for $20. This week I'll try to call that person as well and talk to them and thank them and find out a little bit about what they know about us as well. Anything else? If you have anything, catch me. I'll be glad to answer any other questions that you have while I'm here. One other thing I have, I won't pass these out, but they are here with me. I'll leave a few of them with Brian. But if you want to make a donation, here's an envelope. You can write a check, stick in some cash, put your information on the back flap. We have each year close to $100,000 is given to us as memorial donations. People are learning that, you know, that's a great way to remember a friend who's passed away or someone in their family, or honor someone on their birthday or whatever other ways. So if you want one of those, I'll just leave them here in this front seat and you can help yourself to those. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you